Hey guys, let's do a quick little fun experiment. So in today's video, let's take a robot. This robot is something that we modeled, textured, and also rigged and I think even animated, right? So the tutorials you can find on my channel for all of that stuff. And at this point in time, if you have your own robot because you followed the tutorials, you're welcome to use that. If you don't have that, you are welcome to download this guy fully finished, and you can get that on. All right, so here he is. I added him to Gumroad, and honestly, he's my first character that I added, and he's totally free, so you can just download him and follow along. So once you download him, the next thing we want to do is let's jump into Mixamo. All right, and Mixamo, if you're not sure what Mixamo is, it's a resource for free animations and some free 3D characters that you can play around with. So for example, let's go ahead and say browse animations, and you can see, I'll include the link in the description as well. But by default, I have this robot right here, right? So what we should do is let's find the animation that we like for the robot in Maya. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to type in something like robot. And you can see that there's actually a robot hip hop dance. I'm going to double click on that and take a look, and you can see what that looks like. All right, very cool. So how do I take this animation, which is clearly a motion capture animation, and bring it into Maya and then plug it into our robot, right? How do I do that? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause this. And I'm going to say download. Now, when I say download, I have a few different options. One of them is FBX, 30 frames per second. And do I need it with skin or without the skin? So with skin means you're going to download this blue placeholder robot. Without skin means you're just going to get the joints or the skeleton with just the raw animation motion capture. So I don't really need the skin because I already have the character. So I'm going to say without skin, and I'm going to say download. All right, next let's go ahead and jump into Maya. And if you download the character and open him up, you should see something very similar. In the outliner, you can see it's just the character and the controllers, and he's a human IK robot. So if I go into a human IK, I can see that the control rig is currently activated. If you switch it to stands, he's just standing there. Now, by the way, for anyone who's new, you can see that currently my joints look super skinny. How do I control the thickness of my joints or the bones, right, in Maya? So to do this, what I can do is I can go to display, animation, and then I can go to joint size. And in here, you can see there's a little slider. And the sliders are going to control the thickness of your joints. Many times when you download characters from the internet, a lot of times you have to kind of adjust the joints to make sure that they make sense, right, in your scene. So in this case, I'll make it something along these lines, 3.4. Let's make this even. I'm going to say 3.5. All right, so that's going to be the thickness of that. And if you wanted to test the rig, what you could do is you can go to control rig, and let's go ahead and turn off the FK. All right, so if I select this main one, let's switch it to full body and try to move it around. You can see that he's moving. And then of course, if I select the head, press E, I can spin that around. So that's all working. All right, very cool. So how do we now get him dancing, right? What is the process for that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say file import. All right, and then just import the FBX that you downloaded from Mixamo. Once you do, you should see it show up in your outliner as right there. It's called Mixamo ORIG, right? And you can see what that looks like. If we wanted to, we could select the animation in the outliner, and then we can click on this button right here to isolate. And then we can also press play. And as you can see, currently my timeline does not support this animation because it's way too short. Let's switch it to like 500, and let's just figure out where does it end. It ends right here on a frame 370. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust my timeline to 370, and let's go ahead and press play. And voila, here he is. And by the way, if I remember correctly, I think we downloaded the animation at 30 frames per second. So I'm going to switch that as well. And that's going to adjust my timeline to 463. Okay. All right, I'm going to press play. And there's the animation. All right, nice. So now we have the animation and we have our robot. How do we get the robot follow this animation? So what we need to do is we need to define this for Maya. So Maya understands what this rig means, right? So how do we do that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's go ahead and switch this to -1, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press left all the way to the left, and you can see I'm currently on 0, right? But now if I drag this little guy right here to the left, you can see there's a little new keyframe. And you know what? If you wanted to zoom in into this area, we could just zoom in like this, right? We could do that. And we can see there's a brand new -1 that I added, and it doesn't have any keyframe animations on it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it. I'm going to make sure it's selected. And then I want to right click on his pelvis, and I'm going to say select hierarchy. So the whole thing turns white. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press S to set a key. And then I'm going to go to the attribute editor, or let's go to the channel box actually. And right with the rotations are, let's select all these. Even though it says 0, we're going to select them, press 0 and press enter. And that's going to set our Mixamo rig into a T-pose, okay? And that's what we want. Now, one thing I'm going to point out is the fact that our character is actually not in T-pose, right? Our character is in kind of a A pose. His arms are down. So let's do this. Let's select both of these. I'm going to hold on the Shift key, select that. And I'm going to grab my rotation. I'm going to make sure it's set to object, and I'm going to rotate them down because our robot is, this is his default pose, right? So we want to kind of match the default pose with this as well, so our animation matches up perfectly, right? So let's do that. And now what we should do is we should define this. So I'm going to select this rig, and I'm going to go to the Human IK tab. If you don't see that, you can open that by clicking on the toggle the character controllers, right? This little thing right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say none, and then I'm going to say create character definition. Now I'm going to double click on his pelvis right here, and then click on this one. Okay. Next, what I want to do is I want to click on this open folder box, and I want to choose H Human IK as the template, and I'm just going to simply say OK. All right, as soon as I do, you can see that all of these, most of them turn green, and then these are still yellow, telling us, hey, maybe it's not aligned in the best possible way, but that's okay because that's going to be in alignment with our robot. All right, so now we just defined it, right? Once we defined it, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and jump out of isolate mode, and you can see how our robot's hands are down as well, right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to choose character 1, which is going to be the robot, right? And then we're going to tell Maya that character 1 needs to be driven, or the source of that should be, instead of a control rig, let's switch it to character 2, right? And now let's do this. Let's click on the outliner, select the Mixamo rig and press H to hide it. And I'm going to extend my timeline back up to 463. I no longer need this -1, so I'm going to switch this to 0, press enter. All right, and now if I press play, I should see my character dancing. All right, so that's really cool, and obviously you can choose many different dances and see which one maybe fits the character a little bit better. But in this case, one of the problems that you'll notice is that his ginormous hands are going through the legs, and if I press stop and just simply scrub this in slow motion, you can see that right here, right here, it looks like the arm is going through, right through the floor and it's also going through the leg, right? How do we fix this? So to fix this, what you want to do is we need to bake our animations from Mixamo character onto the robot, right? So to do this, I'm going to click on this little blue button and I'm going to say bake. And you have two options. You can bake the animation to the skeleton, or you can bake it to the control rig. And because we're going to modify the animation and adjust the hands and anything else we want for that, let's go ahead and bake it to the control rig. So I'm going to simply click bake, and Maya is going to go through all 463 frames. And you can see that all these red keyframes appeared, showing us that the animation has been baked to the actual controllers, right? Now, what does that mean? If you look in the human IK, you can see that now character 1 is not driven by character 2. It's now driven by the control rig, which has the animations baked in. Now, for us to see this a little bit better, let's go ahead and turn off the FK ones. And we can see all the controllers, right? And now if you press play, you can see the controllers are actually moving with the robot, and that's exactly what we want, right? So now let's do this. Let's select the arm, right? I'm going to select this arm. I want to fix this arm first because that's the main largest problem, right? Right here, it's let's see, where is it intersecting? Right there, it's going through the floor, and then of course the leg, right? Now I'm looking at it, maybe instead of fixing the arm, maybe we should just fix his torso instead, right? So I think that actually might even be better. Let's go ahead and select this first. And what I want to do next is I want to create an animation layer for this adjustment, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my channel box, and right here in the animation, I'm going to click on this little button right here, create layer from selected. Okay, so a new layer was created, and let's go ahead and call this, I'm just going to call it top, just so I know what this is. And that's going to be, I guess I should call it top chest maybe. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 0. I'm going to press S to set a key. I'm going to go to 460 and press S to set a key. And that's going to kind of hold this animation in place. This is my own personal preference. And then what I want to do is right here where he starts to go down a little bit too low, which is right here. I'm going to find the spot right before he does that, right here. Press S. And then go to the spot of the problem, which is going to be right here, which we're going to change. And then let me find the spot where he kind of goes back to normal, which is right here, right? All right, so now I know this is okay and this is okay, but I know in here in the middle, there's a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a key here, press S. I'm going to press E, and I'm just going to move this up and over. Right? And essentially I'm setting a new key telling my character, let's not go all the way down. Instead, let's just kind of, look up instead, right? So his arms don't go out of control. And now if I press play and drag this around, you can see that it's a little bit better, right? And maybe right here, I can also move this up. And you can see what that looks like. Now he's not going through his leg. Let me see if there's any other issues. Maybe right here. Maybe that's a little bit too low. Let's do that. And let's see how that's looking. And let me make sure there's no other issues where he's too low. I think that's pretty good. Now if I press play, and if I wanted to review the animation without the controllers, of course I can hide them here. And I always like to leave the wireframe on, just my own personal preference, but of course you can turn that off as well. And you can even turn on the shadows, and you have ambient occlusion here as well, right? You have all these different options. All right, I'm gonna press play. And let's see if that's a little bit better. And you can see how we just used the animation layer to adjust the keyframes and totally clean up the motion capture. So that was pretty cool, right? So you can see how powerful that is. So you can kind of focus on each piece individually and then create a separate layer for that, and then just create your adjustment keyframes. And then if you wanted to, you can even right-click. You can right-click and you can merge everything back down to the original base animation layer, if that's what you want to do, right? So all of that is very useful, and let's just see if we can maybe make one more adjustment just for the sake of exercise, right? Right here, I can see that his thumb is going through his pelvis, right? So for that, let me turn on my controllers again. I'm going to select his hand. And you know what? I'm going to select his arm right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the arm, and I'm going to create a new layer, and let's call this right shoulder. That's fine. Okay, so once again, as soon as you create a new layer, you can see all the keyframes are gone, right? And now you want to just pin before and after before you find the middle, right? Before you might find the problem. So you need to find the problem, but then you want to kind of pin the animation before and after. So right here it's perfect. So I can press S. All right, and then I'm gonna go right here's the problem, and then I'm gonna go after. After is right here, right? So this is perfect as well. So let's go in the middle right here. All right, I'm gonna press S, and I'm gonna press E, and I'm gonna move this arm away from his pelvis, right? And now if I drag this, you can see that he gets close to the pelvis, but he doesn't actually go through it, right? And that is the fix. So now we just adjusted a second piece. And that's pretty much, and right here, the arm is going through the knee, right? So I can do the same thing. I can find where it's okay, which is right here is fine. Right here's the problem. And then here it's fine. So I'm going to set a key here, and let me just move this up. And I can see something is really strange happening with his thumb. His thumb is kind of twirling all over the place, right? So if I select this thumb and I know that this one has a problem, what I could do is I can go to the base animation, and what I could do is, let's do this. Let's go to the graph editor, and let's select, again, I'm selecting just the thumb piece, right? The one that's spinning out of control. You can see it right here, like all this weirdness. What I could do is I'm going to select it, go to my graph editor, I'm going to select all these keys for the thumb, and let me just find it where it's kind of normal. And I'm going to select all of these keys, and I'm just going to press delete. All right, and then once I press delete, there's still, you can clearly see there's still an issue, right? So I'm going to go into my human IK, and I'm going to turn off the inverse kinematics for that finger. And that's going to kind of straighten him out, right? And now if I drag it and review the animation, you can see the thumb is not spinning out of control, right? So that's a little bit better. All right, very cool. So, but now we still have the problem of the thumb going through the knee. So I'm going to close my graph editor. I'm going to go back into right shoulder layer, which is right here. I'm going to select this controller, and right here what I could do is I'm going to set a key right here. Here's the problem. Here it is normal. So let's go ahead to the problem area and press E, and let's just maybe move this up. All right, and now you can see the arm is kind of avoiding the knee, right? So this would be the process of how you can go through and clean up motion capture if if that's something you need to do. Let's go ahead and click back. Let's turn off our controllers, and another thing, let's give them a floor to dance on. So I'm gonna create a floor. Let's do something like that. Right click, go to assign new material. Let's select use background. Let's turn off the grid, And let's turn on our shadows. Our shadows are on, but we need the lights on. So I'm going to turn the lights on. And to get the shadows going, you obviously have to drop in a light. So let me just drop in like a directional light. And let me make it a little bit larger. And I can't see it, so that means it's actually turned off right here. All right, I'm going to press E. And let me just change the direction. Now I have this nice shadow. I'm gonna press W. I have this nice shadow for the character, which is nice. And if we wanted to control the color of the shadow, we can go to shadows and maybe we can make it a little bit lighter. I'm gonna press Control D, and let me just do another light, maybe right here, just so it's a little bit brighter, right? And if you wanted to turn off the shadows for the second light, right, what I could do is I could just simply switch it to white, and now I'm not going to see it, right? I'm just playing tricks in the viewer just for fun, right? And I'm going to turn off my lights again. I don't really need to look at him, but now I have the floor and I have the shadow. Now as he's dancing, maybe I can watch him you know, with the shadow. It's a little more interesting. Let's go ahead and go back to the beginning, press play. And here we have it. We have a cool animation. And of course now you can just play around with setting up proper lights. And he's actually, he has AI, he has Arnold textures as well. So you can create cool glowing and all of that. All right, so this will be the process of grabbing a free Mixamo animation, hooking it up to your character rig, and then also adjusting and cleaning it up. The next step would be setting up the environment, the lights, and rendering this out. And then of course, again, you're welcome to try different animations, because some animations might be a little bit better for you know, for one character versus another, so that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in our next one.